The stars were quiet that night. Across the empty stretch of the Orion Belt, most trading ships had long passed, and only the silent hum of drifting satellites remained. The alien outpost that guarded this region rarely received anything unusual. Its crew of sentient beings from 3 different species had grown used to routine signals, cargo codes, mining reports, and the occasional distress call from a damaged freighter. Nothing ever disturbed the silence of deep space until the signal arrived. It was faint at first, a single pulse echoing through the communication grid. The officer on duty, a tall creature with silver skin and glowing eyes, thought it was nothing more than background noise. But when the signal repeated, stronger and clearer, the control room grew tense. The crew leaned forward, each monitor lighting up with strange wave patterns. The sound was not like the usual transmissions. It was sharp, deliberate, almost like a voice knocking on a door. "Origin point?" the officer asked. One of the younger crew members, a scaled being from the Rin colonies, tapped quickly on her console. She frowned. "Unknown. The signal carries no empire code, no trade markings, no encryption patterns we recognize." That was impossible. Every ship in the galaxy carried a code, a signature that told others where it came from. To find a signal without one was like hearing a voice in the dark and not knowing who spoke. The officer gave a slow nod. "Send a greeting, standard protocol." The crew obeyed. A message, polite and cautious, was broadcast across the stars. It carried the outpost's signature, its coordinates, and a simple greeting. "Identify yourself. State your intent." The room fell into silence as they waited. Signals like this were usually answered in seconds, but this time the silence stretched on. 1 minute passed, then 5. The crew began to shift uncomfortably, their eyes fixed on the monitors. The stars outside the window seemed to grow colder, as though they too waited for a response. Finally, the speakers crackled to life. A voice, steady and deep, filled the chamber. "This is Earth Command." The words froze every being in the room. Some stared in disbelief, while others recoiled as though the very sound carried danger. Earth. The word was old, almost mythical. A world said to be violent, unpredictable, and lost to history. Most of the younger races thought it was only a story, something elders whispered about to remind them of wars long past. But the elders knew better. One of the oldest crew members, a frail being with a face like carved stone, let out a slow hiss. "Impossible," he whispered. "Earth is silent. Earth is gone." Yet the voice on the speaker had been clear, confident, alive. The officer tried to steady himself. "Repeat the message. Confirm it is not interference." The computers replayed the transmission. There was no mistake, no distortion. The voice had spoken 3 simple words, but they carried the weight of thunder. "This is Earth Command." The crew exchanged nervous glances. If Earth still had a command, it meant they still had ships. They still had soldiers. They still had the fire that once burned across the stars. In the far corners of the galaxy, stories of humanity lingered like shadows. They spoke of warriors who fought without surrender, of ships that turned battles into graves of metal and fire, of a people who never bowed to anyone. But they also spoke of a great silence. Centuries ago, Earth had vanished from the galactic stage, leaving only wreckage and whispers behind. No one knew why. Some said they had destroyed themselves, others said they had hidden, waiting for the right moment to return. And now, perhaps, that moment had come. The young Rin crew member's hands trembled as she whispered, "What do we do? Do we answer them?" The officer did not reply at once. His mind raced with possibilities. To answer could mean inviting danger. To ignore could mean provoking something far worse. The silence from Earth's side had already spoken loudly. They had not begged for recognition. They had not asked for permission. They had simply declared their presence. Across the control room, tension thickened like smoke. Every beep of the monitor felt like a heartbeat. Every flicker of light seemed to carry weight. Then the signal came again. Stronger. Closer. "You hailed us," the voice said. "We answered, and we are watching." The crew felt their blood run cold. There was no aggression in the words, but neither was there kindness. It was a statement of fact, like the tolling of a bell. Earth Command was awake. Earth Command was listening. The officer straightened, his silver eyes narrowing. He realized this was no ordinary signal. This was a warning, subtle but heavy. Whoever still commanded Earth was not lost, not broken, not forgotten. They were alive, and they wanted the galaxy to know it. As the silence returned, no one dared to speak. The stars outside burned bright, but they seemed more distant than ever. Somewhere, far beyond the Orion Belt, humanity had answered. And that answer alone was enough to shake the hearts of every alien who heard it. The outpost's officer finally whispered the words everyone else feared to say aloud. "The humans have returned." The outpost had fallen silent after the voice of Earth Command faded into the void. No one dared to speak, but whispers spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Within hours, the message reached listening posts, relay stations, and council chambers. Everywhere, the same question repeated: was humanity truly back? In the great hall of the Veylan Council, 1,000 lights burned across the curved ceiling, representing every allied world under their protection. Delegates from dozens of species gathered in urgency, their voices rising in fearful tones. "It is impossible," declared a delegate with scaled wings folded against his back. His eyes glowed bright green as he spoke. "Humanity destroyed itself centuries ago. Their world is dust. Their fleets are wreckage. I saw the records with my own eyes." But an elder from the Othari species shook her long silver mane. Her voice was soft but carried authority. "Records can lie. Survivors can hide. Humanity does not vanish so easily. When they fall, they rise again stronger." Around the chamber, memories resurfaced. Humanity was a race most of the younger civilizations knew only through second-hand accounts. But the older species had faced them directly. They remembered. Wars where humans fought not for territory, but for survival. Wars where their ships appeared from nowhere, striking with precision and fury. They remembered the stubbornness of human soldiers who refused to retreat, even when death was certain. The younger delegates scoffed. "Old stories," one muttered. "Ghost tales to scare children." The elder Othari's eyes narrowed. "Then explain to me, child, why a voice from Earth has spoken today. Who else dares to claim that name? Who else dares to say, 'Earth Command'?" Silence fell across the chamber. Even the most doubtful delegates shifted uneasily. In another part of the galaxy, aboard a massive warship belonging to the Trell Dominion, the High Admiral listened to the replay of the message. "This is Earth Command." The words made his spine stiffen. He turned to his officers. "Is this some trick, a false signal?" he demanded. "No, High Admiral," one replied. "We traced it." The voice carried ancient human frequency markers. "Their old military code signatures, they match." The Admiral slammed his clawed hand against the console. "Then the galaxy is not ready. Not for them. Not for the humans." Rumors spread further still. Traders in spaceports whispered to each other. Miners in the asteroid belts looked over their shoulders. Whole colonies asked their leaders whether the humans were coming. Fear spread like wildfire, and with fear came uncertainty. But fear was not the only reaction. In the hidden corners of the galaxy, some spoke differently. Smugglers grinned at the thought of human allies. Small, oppressed colonies dreamed of salvation, for not every species saw humanity as a curse. Some remembered that humanity once fought not only for themselves, but for others too. Meanwhile, the message played again on distant channels. "You hailed us. We answered, and we are watching." The words carried weight. They were not a threat, Not yet, but they were not soft either. It was a reminder that somewhere in the darkness, Earth was alive. On the Rin homeworld, young cadets, in their academies, whispered about the humans with both awe and dread. One asked his mentor, "Why does everyone fear them so much? They are only one species. The galaxy is vast." The mentor, scarred from old battles, stared out the window before replying. "Because humans fight differently. They do not measure battles in numbers or fleets. They measure them in survival. When cornered, they do not break. They bite." The cadet frowned. "Bite?" "Yes," the mentor said grimly. "Like a predator that refuses to die. Even when wounded, even when surrounded, they strike back. And when humanity bites, they do not let go." Back in the Valen Council, the arguments raged louder. Some called for immediate defense measures. Others urged for diplomacy. A few dared to suggest reaching out to Earth Command again, to ask for peace, but the oldest among them only shook their heads. "Peace?" An elder rasped. "You do not ask for peace with humans. You earn it. And if you break it, you pay." Everywhere the rumors grew, shaping themselves into stories more terrifying than truth. Some claimed Earth had built a secret fleet, hidden for centuries. Others whispered that their soldiers had never died, only slept, waiting for the call to return. A few insisted that Earth had found something worse, technology older than any empire, something powerful enough to silence whole systems. None of these rumors could be confirmed, yet the fear itself was powerful enough. Armies began to shift. Scouts were deployed. Even the mightiest empires felt the weight of a single phrase. Earth Command is alive, and in the shadows of the galaxy, unknown to most, more signals stirred. Not loud, not obvious, but faint messages bouncing across hidden networks. Old human codes waking one by one. The galaxy had asked who spoke. The galaxy had received its answer, and now, whether they wished for it or not, they would have to decide how to face humanity's return. For the stars themselves seemed to whisper with the rumor that would not die. The humans are watching. The message did not vanish. It did not fade into the noise of the galaxy like other signals. It lingered, repeating on hidden channels, bouncing from station to station, as though Earth Command wanted every world to hear it. Each time the voice played, calm, steady, certain, it carried the same chilling weight. "You hailed us," we answered, "and we are watching." In the vast halls of the Stellar Archive, scholars listened to the replay with trembling hands. For generations, they had studied fragments of human history, worn documents, half-burned records, battlefield wreckage scattered across forgotten systems. Now the fragments were no longer only history. They were alive again. Humanity itself had confirmed what the galaxy hoped to forget, one archivist whispered. "If they are watching, then they already know where we are. Every fortress, every fleet. Oh, they are not blind." His colleague tried to stay calm, but her voice shook. "And if they are not blind, then what do they want? Why show themselves now?" The question spread across the galaxy like a virus. Why now? Why speak after centuries of silence? What were the humans waiting for? In a far-off system, the Grand Assembly of the Core dynasty gathered in panic. Their emperor, cloaked in gold, slammed his fist on the throne's arm. "They are mocking us!" he shouted. "One ship dares to answer, and already our people tremble? Are we so weak?" His advisors shifted uneasily. "It is not the ship, Your Majesty. It is the name behind it." "Earth Command," the emperor snarled. "A ghost, a shadow from the past." But even as he spoke, fear filled the room. Ghost or not, the shadow was real enough to shake an empire. The answer echoed deeper than politics. On remote colonies, civilians gathered in silence to hear the broadcast. Farmers paused in their fields, miners left their tunnels, children looked up at the stars with wide eyes. The voice was not just a military signal, it was a reminder that somewhere out there was a people once feared across the galaxy. For some, the echo gave hope. For others, it brought only dread. In the outer rim, a small rebel fleet listened in secret. Their commander, scarred and weary from years of resistance against a larger empire, smiled faintly when he heard the message. "So the humans still live," he whispered. "Good. Maybe the stars are not as hopeless as they seem." But elsewhere the echoes cut sharper. A council of warlords gathered in a darkened chamber aboard a drifting battle station. They listened to the replay again and again, trying to decipher the hidden meaning. One warlord leaned forward, his tusked mouth curling into a snarl. "They say they are watching." "Watching what? Watching us? Watching our fleets? Our borders? Our worlds?" Another shook her head. "It is a warning. They want us to know they are awake. They want us to feel the weight of their eyes before they act," the warlords argued, their voices rising. Some demanded a preemptive strike. Others urged silence and patience, but none could deny the truth. Earth Command had spoken, and the galaxy could not ignore it. Meanwhile, the single ship that carried the signal drifted silently in deep space. Its design was unfamiliar, its hull lined with scars from battles long past. Yet it moved with quiet confidence, as if it did not fear the eyes of 1,000 fleets. Inside, human officers worked with calm precision. Their faces were hard, their eyes sharp. They spoke little, but each carried the quiet certainty of those who had trained for this moment all their lives. One young officer approached her commander. "Sir, the transmission has reached every major network. They are listening, all of them." The commander nodded. "Good, let them listen. Let them wonder. Let them fear." His voice carried no boast, no pride, only resolve. Back in the galaxy's core, the echoes continued to spread. Whole empires adjusted their defenses. Patrol routes shifted. Secret messages flowed between allies and enemies alike. Everyone wanted to know what Earth would do next, but Earth did not explain. Earth did not negotiate. Earth only watched. That silence was more powerful than any fleet. Some species began to study the old human wars again, searching for weaknesses in forgotten records. Others tried to guess how much power Earth could possibly have left. But the uncertainty itself was the weapon. Humanity's echo was a blade pressed against the galaxy's throat, without ever needing to draw blood, and in that uncertainty, fear grew. Children across distant colonies whispered the phrase like a ghost story, "Earth Command is watching." Soldiers muttered it before patrols. Leaders dreamed it in their restless sleep. The echo of humanity was not only sound, it was a shadow stretching across every world. On the outpost where the first signal had been received, the officer who had heard the words firsthand still stood frozen at his console. He had replayed the message 100 times, but the voice never lost its weight. Finally, he whispered to himself, "They could have stayed silent. They could have hidden, but they chose to speak. And that means they want us to know." The younger crew member, trembling, asked, "Know what?" The officer turned slowly, his silver eyes reflecting the cold starlight. "That humanity is not gone, that they never were, and that the galaxy belongs to them, the moment they decide to take it." The echoes continued, rippling through every corner of known space. And with each repetition, the stars seemed to burn a little colder, as if the universe itself understood what was coming. The galaxy could not remain silent forever. Fear had spread, but so had defiance. Not all leaders were willing to bow to a voice that came from the shadows. Some demanded proof, others wanted answers, and a few, too proud or too reckless, decided they would test the humans themselves. It began with the Jari Syndicate, a ruthless empire of warlords who ruled the outer lanes. They believed the message was nothing more than theater, a trick to frighten weaker races. Their fleets were vast, their ships bristling with weapons, and they had crushed rebellions for centuries. The High Lord of the Jari sneered when he heard the words of Earth Command. "One ship, one voice? They think we will tremble at shadows? No, we will drag this ghost into the light. We will test the humans, and the galaxy will see how fragile they truly are." Within days, a squadron of Jari warships was dispatched. Their mission was simple: intercept the mysterious vessel, measure its strength, and if possible, capture it. The squadron arrived in the dark silence of the Orion Belt. At first, they saw nothing, The stars glimmered cold and distant, and their sensors picked up only faint signals. But then a shadow moved across their screens. A single vessel alone, drifting slowly as if waiting. "There it is," one of the Jari captains growled. "Pathetic. No escort, no fleet, nothing but an old hull." The squadron surrounded the ship, their weapons locked. Messages were sent, demands issued. But the human vessel gave no reply. It only floated there, silent and unshaken. Finally, the Jari fired a warning shot, a beam of plasma streaking past the vessel's hull. The void lit up with blue fire, and the Jari laughed. But their laughter ended quickly, for the human vessel stirred. Its engines lit with a white fire that burned brighter than any reactor the Jari had seen. Its hull shimmered with strange energy fields, rippling like water across steel. Then, without a single word, the ship moved. It was fast. Too fast. One moment it drifted like a corpse. The next it cut through space like a predator. It passed between the Jari ships, and in a blink, two of their vessels went dark, systems fried without a shot fired. The surviving Jari panicked. What weapon was that? Shields intact, yet our cores are dead. The human vessel still did not speak. It circled them once, scanning, watching. Then a single transmission came through. "You tested." We answered, and then the ship vanished into the stars, its engines leaving only silence behind. The Jari squadron limped home in disgrace. 2 ships lost without a trace of fire. The survivors trembling, their pride shattered. And when they tried to explain what had happened, no one believed them fully. But their fear was real enough. News spread quickly. Other empires listened closely. Some felt satisfaction at the Jari's humiliation. Others grew more cautious. Humanity had not shown their full strength, but what little they had revealed was terrifying. Yet still, not all believed. The Valen Council, divided and anxious, sent their own scouts. They did not seek to fight, but to understand. The scouts shadowed the human ship from a distance, using cloaked probes and hidden relays. For days they observed, gathering fragments of data. The ship moved with patience, never rushing, never afraid. It passed through asteroid fields without error, skirted pirate lanes without fear, and entered regions no sane trader would dare. One scout whispered to another, "It moves like it knows everything already. Every risk, every trap. It knows before it happens." But even the scouts were not safe. After a week their probes went dark, cut off as if sliced by invisible hands. No weapon was fired, no warning given. And then came the message, the same as before. "You're watching, we are watching too." The scouts fled, their mission failed. Fear deepened across the galaxy. It was no longer rumor. Earth Command was real. Their ship was untouchable. Their silence was deliberate, and their eyes saw everything. But with fear came obsession. Admirals studied the encounters. Engineers analyzed every scrap of data. Scholars searched through ancient archives. They tried to find weaknesses, patterns, mistakes. Yet all they found were shadows and whispers. In the hidden chambers of power, leaders began to argue more fiercely. Some said the humans must be destroyed before they returned in force. Others said it was suicide to even try. And still the voice lingered, echoing across the stars. "You hailed us." We answered, "And we are watching. No more, no less." For the galaxy had tested the unknown, and the unknown had answered. The galaxy no longer asked if humanity had returned. The question was now, what would they do next? Empires whispered behind locked doors. Colonies strengthened their defenses. Fleets repositioned across borders, and yet no matter how they prepared, nothing silenced the fear that spread with every echo of Earth Command's voice. "You hailed us," we answered, "and we are watching." It was not a threat. It was not a promise. It was something heavier. It was the kind of message that slipped into dreams, that made soldiers restless in their bunks and made rulers stare too long at star maps, wondering how close Earth truly was. In the core council chambers, where the most powerful leaders of the Central Empires gathered, the debate turned violent. Some slammed their fists, demanding war before the humans built more strength. Others pleaded for diplomacy, terrified that even a single battle would burn their fleets. "They hide behind fear," one admiral shouted. "They are nothing but a dying race, clinging to old myths." An elder across the table only whispered back, "If they were dying, they would not have spoken. They chose this moment because they are ready." The words sank deep, colder than steel. Meanwhile, in quiet corners of the galaxy, hope rose where it had been dead for centuries. On mining colonies, slaves whispered that maybe Earth would free them. On hidden rebel stations, commanders plotted with new confidence, believing that if humanity returned, the balance of power could finally change. For not everyone feared humanity's fire. Some prayed for it. Still, the strongest truth was silence. Humanity revealed no fleets, no armies, no homeworld coordinates. They gave the galaxy nothing except their presence, and yet that was enough to bend entire civilizations. On a forgotten station orbiting a red dwarf star, a merchant captain recorded a private message to his family. "The humans are awake. I do not know if this means war or peace, but I know one thing. Every empire that thought itself mighty now shakes. And if fear alone can do this, imagine what will happen when humanity actually moves." The tension grew heavier when another signal came, this one different. It was brief, a single sentence carried across hidden channels. "We do not seek war. But if you threaten Earth, if you threaten our people, you will learn what it means when humanity fights as one." Those words struck harder than any weapon, because the galaxy knew humanity had never been united before. Their history was chaos, filled with wars, even among themselves. And yet, if now they had a single command, a single voice, then perhaps every human soldier, every ship, every survivor across the stars would rise together. That thought alone made even the greatest fleets tremble. In the Dominion war chambers, the High Admiral who once mocked the idea of humanity now stared at the projection of a lone human ship. His claws dug into the metal armrest of his chair. "If they are united," he muttered, "then no empire is safe, not even us." The echo of humanity was no longer just sound. It had become weight, weight that pressed on every decision, every council, every commander. Empires delayed invasions, fearing that humanity might intervene. Traders rerouted their paths, avoiding regions where the human vessel had last been seen. Even pirates began to whisper that the stars had grown dangerous again. On the original outpost, where the signal had been first received, the silver-eyed officer still kept his watch. He had heard the words with his own ears, felt the chill they carried, and though he tried to stay calm for his crew, he knew the truth in his heart. "This is only the beginning," he said quietly. "They are not showing us everything. This is not their power, it is their shadow. And if the shadow alone can shake us, then their true return will remake the galaxy." His young crew member shivered. "Do you think they will strike? Do you think war is coming?" The officer did not answer right away. His gaze drifted toward the endless stars where the human ship had vanished into silence. Then he spoke slowly, each word heavy with meaning. "No, war will not come because we choose it. War will come because they decide it. The galaxy belongs to humanity the moment they say so." And as if the stars themselves agreed, the last echo of Earth Command spread one final time across the void. "Calm, cold, absolute. We are watching."